Back, guys, to another edition of Dark Powerrr, where we cover, well, a majority of the wrestling that happens on Tuesday nights. We cover AEW Dark, UWN, and the NWA. We no longer cover Impact, but this week I did have a chance, the opportunity to be on Blunt Impact with Chris G and Ness, and that was a blast. So check that out, guys, when you get a chance. Love talking about Impact Wrestling and all of the really cool things that they're doing there, especially now that things seem to be coming together with that famous thing, synergy, right? Like, that's what we were talking about and preaching about for months, it seemed, during the entirety of the 12-week run of Primetime Live, for sure. But alas, we are now seeing it really come to pass, and we're not able to talk about it. But in a weird way, we are, because this video, this Dark Powerrr show, is part of a larger entity. It's part of our True Heels YouTube network, our channel, and that is synergy of its own way, shape, or form. And because of that, guys, you know what's coming. If you haven't already, please remember to hit that like button, comment, share, and subscribe. So, guys, this has been a crazy week of wrestling news, events, happenings. Shout out to, or congratulations to, Kenny Omega for winning the AEW World Championship, albeit in controversial fashion. Of course, that's usually what has to happen when somebody is doing a big heel turn, but it brought along with it some interesting changes, and hopefully we are going to be able to see some big changes come to AEW Dark down the road, and UWN when it comes back. Now, NWA did have an episode of Shockwave. It was matches that have previously been shown on UWN, so we're not going to get too crazily into it, but you can go back and check in the Dark Powerrr archives, which you don't need to pay $9.99 a month for. It is free $9.99 to check out all of our wonderful content that we have, to see what I thought of those matches and to hear the reviews of those matches. But we got to talk about what did happen, and what did happen was an episode of AEW Dark, a pretty solidly stacked episode of AEW Dark, even though matches happened rather quickly. There was a nice waiting room segment that we're going to talk about, and a couple backstage segments as well. So let's just jump straight into it. Again, for the remainder of this month, I'm not really going to break down every single match, just more give you highlights and talk about what kind of stood out to me, and let's see how this goes. So one thing that definitely stood out to me in the beginning was the Brian Cage-Danny Limelight match. Danny Limelight is somebody who has been a UWN stalwart, stable, if you will, and he has jumped back and forth, appearing on 2 shows on Tuesday nights, and he had a really good match with Brian Cage. It was only about 3 minutes or so long, but they got a lot done in that match. And Brian Cage, he's done a very good job, I think, over the past times that he has been on Dark, of showing that he can be in jeopardy, and then showing himself, pulling himself out of it. Now, in a way that could feel kind of bad, because you want Brian Cage, the Machine, to look imposing, to look unstoppable. And in a way, he still does. But I can see why some people might be a little upset about how he shows that even a machine could break down. But even a machine can break down, because he's taken losses in AEW before. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but Limelight really looked well. He was able to show off his athleticism, his acrobatic ability, and a pretty good match. After this, I liked the waiting room segment. This was another Britt Baker segment where it's just really funny, just the different things that they're able to do. Her guest this week was Dustin Rhodes, and Dustin took a couple shots at, well, first she took a couple shots at Dustin, as she is wont to do as a heel. Dustin fired back by making fun of none other than her boyfriend, Adam Cole. A few little fun moments there, considering that they are on opposing sides of the infamous Wednesday Night War that we are embroiled in. But I liked the segment overall, continued to get over Britt as a heel, and continue to now build this story of Dustin versus the Dark Order. We kind of have shifted away from Cody versus the Dark Order, especially because Brody Lee got injured during that dog collar match. But we haven't really resolved everything that with the Nightmare family because there's still some leftover stuff. It's really interesting that there are a lot of different threads going on at the same time. In a way, you could say that QT Marshall should still be upset with Butcher, Blade, and Bunny, but I guess he's going to be having the back of Dustin Rhodes throughout this feud. So, after the waiting room segment where Dustin says, tomorrow on tomorrow on Dynamite, I'll be facing 10. They have a match between 10 and Aaron Solo. 10 picks up the win. Just keeping that momentum going, keeping it going, and seeing what can possibly happen in the future when it comes to this feud between Dustin and the Dark Order. The next thing that stood out to me was the trio match between the Gun Club and Ryzen, Sean Maluda, and Sean Dean. If for anything, even before any of the actual action, this match was hilarious because of the Gun Club's entrance and how they interact with Taz. And Excalibur bringing up that there are 3 people on one team named Sean and 3 people on the other team whose last name is all Gun. And Taz just saying, I don't give a rat's ass. That was just the disinterest of Taz in anything to do with the Gun Club is phenomenal work. I think if Team Taz, Gun Club and Team Taz is going to be a solid feud because it is the Nightmare family stand-in for Cody while Cody deals with whatever's going on between him and Shaq and maybe whatever's going on between him and the man called Sting. So I think the Gun Club versus Team Taz will be a nice kind of placeholder while he deals with those things before he comes back to deal with Team Taz. And it will stoke the fires of Team Taz because obviously Taz is going to say, we want to be wrestling Cody. We don't want to be wrestling the Gun Club. So after this, another match that stood out was the Red Velvet Danny Jordan match. Red Velvet picking up another win. A good match here because it's just keeping that momentum going. That's one of the main things that Dark is here to do, and that momentum is building for Red Velvet. I can see her maybe getting a shot at the AEW Women's World Championship down the line, or at least something to do with bigger and better things than just Dark, especially because she has Brandy Rhodes behind her. Jurassic Express had a really good tag match against Falco and Mike Magnum. I'm only bringing this up because, one, Marco Stunt is kind of underrated in what he can do as a small guy. It's kind of crazy how flexible, athletic, and just able to bounce all over the place he is. Now, I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, and I know Marco's size also is just not everyone's cup of tea. You want that same level of athleticism, but in somebody taller, aka Jungle Boy. But with Marco, it adds a dynamic with Marco and Luchasaurus in the ring as opposed to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus in the ring. And I just like it generally when trios switch up what they do. Like sometimes when it came to the Shield, it was cool to see Roman tagging with Seth, and then Seth also tagging with Dean with Roman, and all the different permutations and combinations. Same things with the New Day. It's cool to sometimes see Xavier with Big E and not have it be Kofi, or Kofi and Xavier and not have the powerhouse of Big E. So just really great ways to shift things and keep matchups fresh and interesting. And the other thing was that I kind of liked the painter gimmick of Mike Magnum. I don't know. See, now that's the thing. The only thing that kind of wasn't sure about was what was the purpose behind it? Because the paintbrush with like the paint on the face, to me, gives a kind of, it evokes an image of somebody who's insane or crazy or something like that. And that alone doesn't go with the name Mike Magnum. So I don't know. But I just like the idea of it. Like that concept was really interesting and really cool. Maybe he'll be back and we'll be able to flesh that out and see more about who Mike Magnum is. Brandon Cutler picks up a win over Fuego. Evilise picks up a win over Skylar Moore. Big Swole picks up a win over Lindsay Snow. You'll see, actually, as we get further and further in the card, we kind of have to talk about matches individually simply because bigger and bigger names are coming on here. And that's what I said, where it's kind of a well-done, kind of stacked card. TH2 picks up a win over, I am not going to pronounce the name because I know I'm going to butcher it, but and now I'm about to try to pronounce it. Sothera Chun, I want to say, and VSK. TH2 picking up a win before their match with the Jackson brothers on Dynamite. Shanna picks up a good win here over Freya States. Amazing talent just in Freya States, just the height. The height alone, if she's able to continue to develop and get better in the ring, she is going to be a really phenomenal talent just due to what she brings to the table off of genetics alone. Sometimes you have to be a genetic freak in wrestling. Sometimes you have to be somebody who can do things that other people can't. And Freya States, with her height and the power that height affords her, will be somebody who can do those things. Acclaimed pick up a good win. I liked the rapping that the Acclaimed did before, that Caster did before the match, especially telling John Cruz that he's so ugly he should wear a mask. That's just a lighthearted reference to the fact that John Cruz and Serpentico are the same person. And finally, in our main event, Varsity Blondes picked up a win over Reynolds and Colt Cabana of the Dark Order ahead of the Varsity Blondes match with FTR. So, guys, I just want to take this time out to talk a little bit about what Dark has been and where I think it can go. This is kind of a continuation of the conversation that we had with Sid and Ness on the 1 year, I was going to say 1 hour. It's been a lot longer than that. But the 1 year anniversary of Dark Powerrr. I really think that they're going to be able to build this show out. I hope that they're able to do more backstage segments. There was another backstage segment where Dustin continued the conversation with, or continued the topic that he was talking about with Britt Baker when he was on the waiting room. I hope they do more of that. I hope they have more shows like the waiting room as part of Dark. Just little things. Just ways to bring out more of the characters. I think that will be really cool. In a way, you kind of want to take elements of BTE and add it to AEW Dark. Give people more camera time. Why not? You have a free platform, and YouTube is not charging you anything to put content on there. You're getting paid through monetization to put content on there. I'd be really interested to see some backstage stuff with Ivelisse and Diamante. That would be kind of interesting. Just to do something that kind of maybe follows them on a day. Or I think that might be a thing. Maybe have Marvez or Dasha do something where every week they follow a different talent backstage behind the scenes, and you can keep kayfabe throughout it. That's fine. But just to show more about who these people are and their characters and who they portray in the ring. That, I think, would be really interesting. Red Velvet could have her own cooking show. Like, come on. If Britt can have the dentist's waiting room, Red Velvet could definitely have some kind of cooking-themed thing where it's the counter, right? So, whereas Britt is the heel person, maybe Red Velvet is the face person. Now, I guess maybe that might not work. As I'm saying it, I can already see the problem, right? We have Shot of Brandy. So maybe that might not be it. But there are ideas out there, is what I'm trying to say. And that's something that I kind of want to hope that see them work on. Add those things to the show, especially because we're going to be getting a third show, and Tony Khan has talked about it more and more. Maybe it's going to be delayed a little bit, not because of COVID, but because of how much money he had to shell out to buy precious advertisement time on Impact Wrestling this week. But we're going to be getting a third show at some point. We are going to be getting trios titles. Set the groundwork. That's really what I want to see out of AEW Dark as we move forward. And I think that's where we're going to be headed towards at the start of the new year. But guys, I don't want to take up too much more of your time covering AEW Dark, NWA, and UWN. Shout out to UWN on Primetime Live. Their Twitter account is kind of doing like a best of hits kind of thing, greatest hits of the past 12 weeks. Check it out. See what they're talking about. I know they're running that promo segment with Marvez talking about everything that happened, repeating it. And the NWA, I really want to see how they factor into all this. I know that they're not really going to be able to run shows or anything like that because of everything that's going on in their partnership with UWN. Maybe just wait until UWN comes back. But there's no harm in them teasing something down the road between them and AEW, because clearly there is something that may not be in the works, but there is conversations that are happening. There have to be. You can't have Serena Deeb win the NWA Women's Championship right after she has signed with All Elite Wrestling. Like, you can't do that. You can't have Thunder Rosa, who is signed to NWA, continually be showing up on AEW television. Where is Nick Aldis? Where is that World's Championship? We had Cody Aldis at All In. We had Aldis Cody at the 70th anniversary show. That was 2 years ago, right? All In was 2018. I think that the 70th anniversary show might have been, it was 2018 as well. But that will soon be 3 years ago. I think we can come back to that. I think we can bring Nick Aldis into the fold and see what happens when Nick Aldis and Strictly Business, don't forget Strictly Business, Royce Isaacs and Bram, what can happen with them? The possibilities are endless. And whatever the possibilities are, however they are explored, just remember that we will be with you every single step of the way here on Dark Powerrr with the entire True Heels family behind us. We're with you every step of the way. Remember, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't already. We enjoy reading the comments. We enjoy interacting with you guys. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. COVID is still spiking. It is still a problem. It will be a problem for some time, but you have the ability to help just by doing little things, just by wearing masks when you're out and about, washing your hands, all that kind of fun stuff that may not seem fun, but in the long run, it is fun because it allows us to get back to real fun, aka being in person at wrestling shows once again, because I sure as hell miss going to freelance shows. So guys, until next time, I am the StatKing. I will talk to you guys later, and take it easy.